Well, good morning, Jack and Crystal. A lot to speak of. About 15 minutes ago, it was all quiet and pretty dry until about 15 minutes ago. That's when conditions really started to deteriorate. We've seen a lot more wind, a lot more rain, and that wind is getting stronger. Really, within the last 15 minutes, that wind is getting stronger. It's coming right off the shore and almost it's already starting to blow us just a little bit. Not dramatically, but it is starting to come down, and that rain is coming down consistently. Now, another concern when it comes to Arthur is beach erosion. Paul Gaze is the Director of Coastal and Marine Science at Coastal Carolina University. He says areas like Garden City and Cherry Grove that have a lot of marshes and barriers are at risk for flooding and eroding. He says our beaches sustained a rough winter and are in need of being replenished.
We're going to be fortunate that it's passing offshore because we are getting to these positions where we're not as, the beach isn't as big and robust as it had been after the last renourishment.
Now, Gaze says renourishment brings sand from deep in the ocean out to the shore. He says once Tropical Storm Arthur passes, the next step is to renourish beaches along the Grand Strand. Now, Jack and Crystal, as I mentioned again, this wind has started to pick up. The rain has been consistent within the last about 15-20 minutes. We also have seen a couple spurts of lightning, but those have been really far off in the distance, not right here, at least where we are right here in Myrtle Beach. But we will have another update for you coming up in just half an hour. For now, I'm going to send it right back to you guys in the station. Well, good morning, Jack and Crystal. Conditions right now have improved significantly, at least since about half an hour ago. But just to give you a little recap of what we've seen so far this morning, from about 3:30 till about 4:30, conditions were completely dry out here. No rain whatsoever. A little bit of wind. Then by about 4:30, 4:45, that wind really started to pick up, and we saw some seriously strong rain coming in right off the shore. That lasted not too long because it's been pretty dry, at least in the last 15 minutes. But that wind has stayed consistent since about 4:45 this morning. We have also seen a couple lightning strikes off in the distance, but not too close to us. Also, when it comes to that wind, I'm told there was a 29-mile-per-hour wind gust behind us at the last live shot. So apparently that wind is pretty strong out here. Now, when it comes to conditions, another big concern when it comes to Arthur is rip currents, which can be deadly along the Grand Strand. A rip current is a strong channel of water that goes away from the shore and can quickly take a swimmer along with it. Now, don't try to fight a rip current if you get caught in one. Instead, swim parallel to shore or just tread water and wave your arms for assistance. Now, Beach Patrol officials suggest you stay close to a lifeguard and watch the flags.
At the point that we ask swimmers to stay in waist deep or knee deep, they'll be flying blue aquatic hazard flags. And at the point we feel like it's unsafe to venture into the water due to the conditions, we'll fly a red no swimming flag.
Now, Brown says rip currents are often found around structures in the ocean, like piers, and they're often strongest in the hours before and after low tide. Now, again, the wind out here in Myrtle Beach right now, Jack and Crystal, it's staying consistent. It's pretty strong. We're seeing some pretty strong gusts, but the wind is just strong out here right now. Rain has died down a little bit, at least since about half an hour ago, but we'll continue to have updates for you coming up in just half an hour. Well, good morning, Jack and Crystal. As the sun has started to come up, the rain is back. At least it's back from where it was half an hour ago, completely died down. But surprisingly, though, the wind has started to calm down. Let me give you an example of this. See those flags? They're flying pretty strong. But one thing we have noticed is Myrtle Beach city officials are out here. It looks like they're taking those down, most likely because of the storm. Now, another concern when it comes to Arthur is beach erosion. Now, Paul Gaze is the... Hey, Jack and Crystal. Well, in terms of rain, we are starting to see the first droplets of rain we have seen in the last about hour and a half. The strongest amount of rain that we've seen actually this morning was around 5 o'clock. That's when it really started coming down. It was kind of pelting us. And in terms of wind, that's when we saw the strongest amount of wind too. At one point, apparently, we had a 29-mile-per-hour gust behind us. It was almost pushing us over, but we are not seeing those kind of dramatic effects in terms of wind right now to speak of. Now, another concern when it comes to Arthur is rip currents, which can be 5 shootings that killed 3 and injured 4 in Myrtle Beach in just 48 hours. They happened during the Atlantic Beach Bike Fest, and many are saying enough is enough. Although police have not connected the shootings to the event, there is a petition on change.org generating thousands of signatures and a Facebook page with more than 13,000 likes, both asking for an end to Atlantic Beach Bike Fest. On Tuesday, I set out to get reaction from Atlantic Beach officials to this weekend's shootings and the public outcry. But after a lot of waiting and a lot of calls to Mayor Jake Evans, I didn't get very far.
You have reached the Sprint voicemail box.
Hey Jake, it's Mark Liverman calling from News Channel 15. Please give me a call as soon as you can. Councilmember Josephine Isom agreed to meet me and then canceled an interview. Finally, Town Manager William Booker agreed to be interviewed, but only by phone.
First, there has to be a connection between the tragic incidents and the event, and that hasn't been made. So for someone to jump to the conclusion that the tragedy as a result of the event, I think is very inappropriate.
Booker says town officials haven't addressed the issues yet, but says eliminating future bike weeks won't stop the violence.
One of the things that we believe is that the bikers are going to come whether we prepare for them or not. And it's certainly better to be prepared for something that's going to happen than to not prepare.
Jack, you are absolutely right. We are live right in the thick of it, right in the heart of it. And let me tell you, you can take in all these sights and sounds. It's gotten a lot busier over the last few hours. I've been out here since about this morning, pretty early this morning. It's gotten substantially busier. Let me step out of the way for a second so you can see just how crowded that is. And that crowd, Jack, that's going all the way down to the beach. Let me introduce you right here. This is just one of the many bike groups out here. This is the Throttle Hawks. There's about 9 or 10 of them. They came down all the way from North Carolina, and they're going to be here basically until Monday, so they're just having a good time. And this is what we're talking about. Tons of groups coming out here. And speaking of all these groups, we've got lots of food and lots of delicious smells. I ran into one vendor who's been here for 9 years, and he told me a little bit about his secret ingredients and secret recipe. Take a listen. Quite a different scene here than it was about 8 hours ago at 10 o'clock last night. That's when there was a shooting right here at the Wave Rider Resort, right behind me. Police completely filled this entire area. Yellow caution tape at all. Quite a different scene right now. Quite quiet, in fact, except for the few partiers still on the street out here. Now, Myrtle Beach Police Captain David Knipe said, don't know as well if this shooting or any of the shootings that happened over the weekend are related to the Atlantic Beach Bike Fest. And I can say I spoke just a couple minutes ago to a guest of this resort right here, and he was telling me he's been coming here for 7 years for Memorial Day weekend. He's never seen a weekend of violence just like this one. Just gives you the perspective of how bad this weekend has been. Jack, back. I did. Now, we got our hands on some dramatic handheld video which showed just how chaotic this scene was just a few hours ago. People were literally lining these streets facing this direction. That's where the Bermuda Sands Motel is. That's where one of 2 shootings took place. Now, on top of that, this was just an absolutely chaotic scene. Parts of Ocean Boulevard were completely closed off for an extended period of time. They have since been reopened. We also spoke to someone who heard from a victim just moments after they were shot. Here's what they had to say.
So you just hear pow, somebody shooting, pow, 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 pow.
Chaos, panic, and confusion along Ocean Boulevard in Myrtle Beach Saturday night, after separate shootings left 3 people dead and 2 others seriously hurt. This video shot by Jamont Samuel, who says he saw one of the victims run around a corner right after he was shot.
The dude who got hit, you can see him it was just crazy. He ran around a corner. And I guess his adrenaline was pumping, and you can see where he just, eventually fell and collapsed.
Samuel says moments later, he saw that same victim, gasping for air, breathing in what may have been his last breaths of life.
And it was to the point where, he had a lot of blood everywhere, and he was just trying to breathe, and he was everybody's people all around him. And
all this while hundreds of people ran away from where those shots were initially fired.
I was scared to death. I just took off and started running. I was scared.
Most of Ocean Boulevard stayed shut down through the early hours of Sunday morning as police worked to find a suspect. Tragedy a little more than a day away from the end of Atlantic Beach Memorial Bike Week.
You always try to prepare for the unexpected. You know, we've had shooting incidents before. We certainly don't like to see any type of incidents where somebody dies during this event or any event that Myrtle Beach has. Have 3 people in one night is kind of a big thing. We only had 2 homicides for a total last year, so it's something a little unusual. We hope to put a lot of work into this and get this solved real quick.
Suspects in custody, and as of right now, there is no motive for either of those 2 shootings. But again, these are questions that we will continue to ask as this investigation is ongoing, and we will have a lot more for you coming up in just half an hour right here on Good Morning Carolina. Courtney, it was. Now, we got a hold of some dramatic handheld video which showed just how chaotic this scene was. People were just completely covering this entire area, littering the streets, littering Ocean Boulevard, staring off into the distance at that Bermuda Sands motel right there, because that's where the shooting took place. And that was really the scene throughout the entire evening. Ocean Boulevard remained closed for an extended period of time. It has since been reopened. We also spoke to someone who saw one of the victims just moments after he was shot. Here's what he had to say.
They say, no, you just hear pow. You know, somebody shooting. Pow, 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 pow.
Chaos, panic, and confusion. Boulevard.
You always try to have 3 people in one night for a total last year, so it's something a little unusual. We hope to put a lot of work into this and get this solved real quick.
Police tell me so far they don't have a suspect in custody. Of course, the investigation on both of those shootings is ongoing, and they say so far there is no motive, of course, but we will continue to bring you coverage on air on Good Morning Carolina is coming up right at 9 o'clock. We'll have a whole lot more for you then. For now, back to you, Courtney. Good morning, Courtney. It is a perfect day for all this activity, all this fun in downtown Myrtle Beach. Let me show you what we've got going on already. So far, we've got a couple floats here, and this is just one row. There are tons of rows going down in this direction, and really, we're still more than almost about an hour and a half away from the start of this parade, so really the activity, the energy is just starting to build. So we placed a number of phone calls to the property manager. We also tried coming out to the property itself to see if we can get some answers, but so far, this is as far as we've been able to get. The park's attorney also telling us for now, he's got no comment, according to theme park website Screamscape.com. That is a good question. I've got to say it really hasn't had a dramatic effect. The crowd is still coming. They're still having a great time, and there's still quite a few hours to go in this thing. Let's come on in right here. Let's take a look at one of these vendors that we're talking about. And I'm also joined by Alice Nelson, who's with the Conway Chamber of Commerce. Alice, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I am good, thank you. Alice, tell me a little bit about what we have going on left. I know we only got a couple hours left. Tell us what we have going on.
All right, we have about an hour left on our Artisan Market and Business Expo. Our kids zone's still open, kids still playing, having a great time. I'm in the Riverfront Park area right now, which opened at 3. We've got some live entertainment on stage, plenty of food, fun, fireworks at 9:15. We got a great night planned.
Alice, real quick, tell me about the impact this has on the local businesses out here.
Well, it's great exposure. Not only do they get to get out here and make a little money, but it's great exposure, get your name out there. I'm from Conway, but I've seen a lot of businesses I didn't even know existed. So it's a great time, great exposure.
Alice, thank you so much. We want to show off. Speaking of local businesses, this is what we're talking about out here. This is Emma Ray's Catering. They're out of Conway. This is what we're doing. We're doing all kinds of different food out here right now. Again, we want to apologize about the noise. It is crazy loud out here because people are having such a good time. Take a little walk with me before we get to Timmy over here. What do we got going on right here? What are these French fries going on?
These are hillbilly taters.
Tell me, how do you make these? How do these work?
It's a ribbon fry with a whole Idaho potato. Here, I'll spin one for you real quick.
Spin us one real quick. And as you're spinning, tell me what you're doing.
Just putting pressure on it and pushing against the blade, and it brings it out as a...
That comes out real quick, too.
Comes out real quick, too. The drill makes it real easy.
Perfect. I want to bring you over right before we wrap up here. I want to introduce you to Timmy, who's with MRA's. Timmy, tell me what you got going on here, right here. What are we doing?
We're doing Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, just peppers, onions, hoagie rolls, and Swiss cheese. It's one of our best sellers here at the festival. I'd like to add that we're partnering here today with Smoking Pit Barbecue, and just want to thank the people in Conway and the Chamber of Commerce. We've worked events from Mount Olive, North Carolina, and all around, and this is always the best event year in and year out.
And
we really do appreciate them.
And Timmy, one thing before we were going on air, you were telling me this has a big impact. The last thing I was going to ask you, this has a very big impact on businesses. You were saying just being out here, the exposure for just one day means a lot for you guys.
Yeah, very much so. We have people, ask for business cards left and right, special events that they're having, and it just, kind of trickles down and word of mouth kind of thing. And this is the best way to get out here and get in front of the public is to, bring your wares out and show them off a little bit. So we're very thankful that they let us to be a part of this, and it's been a great day so far. So come on out.
There you go. Come on out. And that's the exact message we want to get out. A couple more hours to go. Reminder that the fireworks are going on just after 9 o'clock, and this is going on until 11 o'clock tonight. Still tons of time to come out here and have a great time. Alex, back to you.